go. What's up, Uber? How you doing? Dan. And I'll get y'all the link. Y'all should be seeing it. But, yeah. Let's see. Pam. All right, so we have SPY coming up to 515. We've retraced about touch more than half of the move from Friday. And, yeah, which I'm a little skeptical. I'm always skeptical of moves like this, whether it be up or down, where they just go out the entire direction, the entire pre-market, and never move away from it. So I'm going to be looking for the same thing. I'm going to be looking for the same thing that it's been working pretty well. Let me post this in the stream analysis channel and right here. So far, right at the gate, red candles, large red flows right there on NASDAQ. We have 18,3100. They do have exposure up to 18,400. We have 18,200 down. ES has 5220, 5215 right here. The big thing to remember is that Friday we had almost 40,000 CVD green on ES, which is one of the larger CVDs I've seen in a very long time. Which it was weird to see considering how bearish we were, but now we know why. They popped this thing up about 5 or 6 points here on SPY. And the NASDAQ appears to be up about 130 points after this red candle from yesterday's open. Looking around the market here, all 10 X's are green, and 8 of the top 10 are green, with the only exceptions being Tesla and Apple. So crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Thanks, Super. Appreciate it. What's up, YouTube? How's it going? Terp Lord. So let's see. The big things here is that retail data just posted. Yeah, Scheffler is amazing, dude. That dude is lights out. I don't think I've seen anybody as dominant as him in a very long time. Rory kind of went on a run there in the 2000s, and then of course Koepka. But man, that dude is lights out. Incredible. Yeah. So overall theme here is that retail sales just posted, and it posted the hottest number since February of 2023. So all of the data is still pointing towards no rate cuts anytime soon. They're continuing to push the can down the road here, and the bond market is beginning, or the treasury market is beginning to price that in more and more, with the 2-year back at 5%. We're just a hair under 5% on the 2-year yields. The 20 and 30-year yields are rocketing as well, and the bonds are, of course, back under 90 into 89 territory. And if this keeps up, I would expect TLT to start breaching back down into 52-week lows and attack the low 80s. Not to mention, as all the institutional longs of the bonds back in the fall start to get smoked, you're going to see a lot more aggressive selling on the bonds to reattack those low levels. And then whether or not we bounce off that to be determined. And then, of course, the bonds will come along very quickly once we start getting data that's commensurate with a rate cut environment. Retail is up because more buying, or things cost more. I guess it depends on how you want to spin it. I mean, it's a great concept. But it's all, I think it cuts out automotive sales. But yeah, the retail sales are incredibly strong. So not much data is pointing towards a hurting economy. At least the data itself. Obviously, that is decoupled from reality. It feels so good to not be in a trade this time around, and even better to think of my personal thesis and education. I love it. Nice, Kennedy. I like. Nice. Well done. All right, dropping off here, ES, NASDAQ. I'm short NASDAQ here with anticipation of some pullback with the major green candles coming up. We just had a 500 buy on ES, and that's so far working out nicely. My objective with you all is to cage euphoria, to cage emotions, to cage the bull-bear nonsense, etc., etc., and I hope I achieve that goal, because obviously when you see green, everyone starts freaking out. Well, it's like you have to realize we just had an incredibly bearish day on Friday. In fact, one of the most aggressive bearish days we've had all year. And all this is a little bit of buying coming up that's been sustained all night. Not to mention knowing what the order book does. The order book loves to trend one way very aggressively in pre-market and then reverse it. And so far, we're seeing that exact same script over and over and over again. If you start having that euphoria feeling in your gut, then I would probably be a little bit on guard. I'm still rolling my stops down here tight. I'm going to set about 290. So I would set set your expectations very cautiously when you see movement like this. There's a reason why they're doing it, and it has to do with the order book. Don't get swept. Don't think like retail. Don't be a jabroni. All right, coming off here, we're coming down to the pivot, and I'm going to roll this thing down to 280 on NASDAQ. If we take out the 270, we'll keep on going, but this is a pretty dang big red candle so far. We're looking at about a 80-point red candle. Excellent. Excellent. All right, just took out that prior pivot. I'm going to roll it down a little more. I was expecting a bounce here. Fantastic play. And now that we've taken out that prior pivot, I'm going to roll this down even tighter, expecting a bounce. I don't want to be a part of any major bounces. There's 270. So far, still selling. But the news moves the market. Yeah. Yeah. Just like EMAs or as a trading system. All right, still coming on down here. 270. Once we clear, I don't know where this thing's really going to go here. We'll see how aggressive they want to be at. But I'm going to set my stop approximately 270. Nice and tight, 10 to 15 point breadth, and we'll get this thing popped. Beautiful stuff. 5202 back to 200 on ES. Yeah. YM's holding strong. EU at the high. VIX is 1655. TLT is 8918. If you did not catch the trade in the trade channel, I did write puts on Friday. I want to start lowering my cost basis on the May puts. Friday paid exceptionally well on the puts. It was a very, very profitable day. And instead of closing out the May puts, what I elected to do is start riding premium against it to lower my cost basis. And this, to me, it's a very smart way to play. Is I want to start taking protection at the lows, not at the highs when things look bullish and the long put's going to get smoked. So yesterday near the lows, I elected to put on a Friday, April 19th put, a short put, which so far is paying very well, and it's offsetting any of the drawdown that we experienced overnight. And I'm going to continue to do that. In fact, I'm going to be very aggressive with writing premium against this, as I've kind of had a little bit of an epiphany over the weekend doing my analysis on my trades as well as the charts going into April. So be ready for it. If you're someone who's not comfortable writing premium, I'd encourage you not to do so. Or just take calls, if that's the case. What's up, Osmond? How you doing? Looking around the market here, who's giving some back? Bonds TLT is 89.19 and just put a new low in. VIX is still holding 17. XLF is giving some back. Let's take a look at the 0GEX options flow all around the board right here. Today is April 15th. 52.75, 5,000 is the overall. Let's go take a look at the 0 DTE GEX. That's 1 DTE. What's your epiphany into April? It kind of goes with me still, being butthurt about having a red March, and why. It's not the fact that I had a red March, because that crap happens. It's why I had a red March. My swing trades paid exceptionally well. Every single one of my swing trades paid very, very well. And I would have had a blowout month, but I continued to trade short-term time frames, and I gave it all back. So it's terrible. Not to mention the swing trade now is paying very well. So I'm thinking, I was talking to even Mrs. Ohm. She saw the profits from this trade. I'm like, why am I even bothering with scalping when I'm making way more money on one single trade than I would make weeks worth of scalping? Literally, Friday paid me way more than I would make in 2 to 3 weeks of scalping. So why am I even worrying about that? And I'm going to focus more on that. I have a very keen eye for picking out swing trades, even in this market. So I'm going to kind of lean into it. Not to mention I do want to get back more into writing premium because it's a very hands-off way to trade. And I miss it. And I'm wasting time scalping. Even though scalping works sometimes. What's up? I already answered that. There you go. Let's go take a look at the data. Options. SPX. Right now, the current GEX is spread 5190 to 5160, so a little 30-point range. They haven't really nailed it down here, but exceptional amount down lower. I'm going to go take a look at the flow here, too, after the first green. Stopped out of trade on that green candle there at 18,270, locked in 50 points per contract on NASDAQ. Coming on down. Flow line right now is exceptionally bearish for the options flow currently. Except for NVIDIA, of course. NVIDIA is exceptionally bullish. Very, very strong call flow on NVIDIA. Do you risk more if you count on swing short than scalping? Oh, absolutely I do. Like way, way more. Simply because I have to. You know, when I'm scalping, I'm usually trading premiums that are $4 to $5. You know, at the money positions, give or take $7. But when I'm swing trading, you know, I'm risking. You know, I have to trade $36 premiums, $40 premiums. So I have to risk more just to put on the position. Not to mention, I don't mind doing that because I have a lot of time to defend to do that. Not to mention with the swing trade, I know if I'm egregiously wrong pretty quick on a swing trade. Like if I take a put and the market trends up for 2 days in a row, it's time to, I got to get out. So I'm usually pretty good at identifying when I'm wrong, and I'll have enough time to either close the trade or short premium or long a call or something like that. As long as you don't do nothing, you should be okay, regardless if you're right or wrong. 5212 on ES here. NVIDIA is blasting with incredibly strong call flow on NVIDIA. The strongest across the market, surprise, surprise. They just put on 5238 on ES here. 5238. Speaking of which, I need to come along here. SPX has some crazy exposure on the books for OPEX. Nutty stuff. I'm talking like 5350 and down to like 4900. Incredibly large exposure. Do you have a video or more detailed info on how to swing trade hedge? I don't like holding overnight positions because I lose sleep. I don't have a video specifically about hedging, although I could do one. It's more of an art form, especially with my new strategy on making videos. I could probably do it a lot easier than the way I used to make videos, so we'll see. By the way, I did post a new YouTube video this weekend. So, detailing a little bit more about the morning range. Still holding 5211. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ is bounced up about half, and they've got 5240. Taking a look at NASDAQ here as well as 18375. Right now, 18400. I like how you're being more informed and explaining rather than focus on clickbait short videos. Definitely. Definitely. Hit a max loss of 3K on Friday and made it all back today +1. Nice yacht. Gold and silver had some crazy moves Friday, man. We rode it all the way up in the morning, and then our stops tripped, and that thing just rallied or just sunk big time. Huge moves on Friday. Bonds are still coming off, about to break under 89. Major call sweeps coming in for NVIDIA. Goldman Sachs is up 6%. That should raise the Dow pretty aggressively too. And Apple is down to 175. $52.10. Let's take a look. Gold is still getting smoked on down. We got 2360 and looking for 2350 is then going to be the overall major support from Friday. So we'll see what they do there. Let's go take it silver. Silver's getting smoked again too. Man, look at that move on Friday. Crazy. From 29.89 down to 27.65. And at $25 a tick, that would have paid big money right there, baby. Big money. NASDAQ is recapturing this red candle here. No additional plays for me just yet. What's the sentiment for J-Powell speaking tomorrow? I would say just more volatility. I don't even know what the. I'm going to go look at the Fed calendar and see what it's actually about. Let's see, calendar. There it is. Tomorrow is April 16th. A moderated discussion with Tiff Macklem, Governor of the Bank of Canada. It'll be held at the Washington Forum on the Canadian Economy. Interesting. This forum will aim to educate U.S. policymakers, business leaders, and public on the dynamics of the Canadian economy. Programming will range from the virtual events on niche but critical economic issues to major in-person gatherings with leading figures in the Canadian U.S. policy space. It will feature a fireside chat, whatever that means, with Jerome Powell and the Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem. The two central bank leaders will share their perspective on the economic outlook, monetary policymaking in their respective countries, and enduring value of the United States and Canada economic relationship. There you go. Can you take a look at the DAX? Let's take a look. Yeah. Another red candle on NASDAQ here, top wick. And if you are tier 2, remember what we talked about, baby. We are using the multiple time frames. Do it. Do it. Does silver have micros? Yes, they do. They also have minis too. They have different ways to do it. I don't like scalping, but don't like swinging. Well, obviously the market's been very difficult to swing the past 2-3 months. You know, Nasdaq is entering its third month of consolidation. ES is now entering its second month of consolidation, and it's difficult to swing that beyond a couple of days. That's why you have to be Johnny on the spot. Now, if you're playing individual names, obviously you could play a little bit more of a breakout/breakdown scenario than the indexes. But yeah, you have to pick your poison. I would find 5 to 10 names in a basket that you can be well versed in with their price action and trade that as needed. Especially if you have a job and you don't have time to sit here and listen to the streams and sit here and watch the charts all day. It's really your only option. Plus, you can make a lot more money. All right, taking a look at the DAX here. Let me see. There it is. Yeah, major rocket ships on DAX, and they have recaptured all of Friday's move. And, I mean, literally the DAX price action ever since April 2nd looks like they're just copy and pasting. Major sell-off, buy-up, major sell-off, buy-up, major sell-off, buy-up. It's uncanny how repetitive that price action actually is. So this time they finally did break out of that pattern, though, so maybe they're ready to climb back up. Bonds are now 88.90 and selling off aggressively. Major moves on the bonds right now. You're welcome. Another red candle here. Not a lot of great information around the market. Yields are spiking aggressively, and the 2-year is about to pop 5%. And hold it at least. And this will be the first time since November that the 2-year yield is back over 2%. A lot of warning signals out there right now. So the S&P and the NASDAQ charts have flipped. They have flipped the script on us. Up until the end of last week, the S&P was more bullish than the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ had broken below support. The S&P was remaining pretty much close to their high of the range. But with the banks getting smoked last week and the bonds coming off and providing a lot of pressure on the X sectors and the relative market breadth, which last week the overall market was very weak. The only thing that was holding us up really was the big rotations back and forth between Nvidia and Apple and of course Meta. But everything else was quite red. We had a couple of days where the heat map was red with the exception of the big mega caps, and that led the S&P to drop well below the NASDAQ. ES actually took out their main support I was looking to take out. NASDAQ held it, and now NASDAQ is of course back inside the middle of their range. So they definitely flipped the script, which is interesting. That's a little bit of a change of character there, and I'll be looking to see how that carries out. But overall, my bias for the week and for the overall range here remains neutral, which is unfortunate because I am ready to get into a trend. At this point, I don't even care if it's up. I'm ready to get into a trend so we can stop this back and forth crap. And I think we'll get it soon. The daily range is starting to expand aggressively. We're having volume expansion. We're having range expansion. And I think we'll get a nice little trend here coming up. We don't get that kind of move. Maybe post-OPEX, maybe even FOMC, which is in 2 weeks. Let's take a look at the flow here. We have some put selling, call selling, not a lot of movement here. Can you share a few words on when and why you look at the 2 over the 10 or 20? I look at all three. Right now, I am tracking 2, 10, and the 30-year yields. Now, in terms of the bonds themselves, right now, I'm just looking at ZB and TLT. TLT is kind of just a litmus test for the bonds to give me a good handle on what the overarching bonds are doing. But right now, the yields I'm tracking the 2, 10, 30. And the reason why I do that is because that gives me a good perspective on the short-dated and long-dated treasuries, because everyone's talking about the inversion and how long we can maintain the inversion and all that kind of stuff, and really what they're going to price in, because what the 2-year yield going up and up and up tells us is that we're not even close to ready to hike yet, or a cut. In fact, there is a slight possibility we could start another hike. Not a whole cycle, maybe just one more. I don't know. Now, J. Powell did say, he has said multiple times actually in his same repetitive crumpled up coffee stains speech, that a hike would be very disruptive to the markets and the economy, is what he said. So I don't think they'd actually do it. I think the chances of it are increasing, but I don't think they'll actually do it. I just think it'll be delayed cut. And that's what I'm really trying to track. It's not necessarily the data, it's how the markets are pricing in the data. And that's why I track the yields versus the bonds. Not to mention, I want to go long bonds. The time's going to come where TLT will be back over 130, and I need to be ready for that. I think there's going to be a lot more pain in the bond market before then. I think we'll still see 82, 80, which is why I didn't freak out when the thing bounced a couple months ago. Tier 2 remembers I'm still long-term incredibly bullish on TLT, but not yet. Not yet. Right now, my bullish thesis is just a little calf, like a newborn baby, calf. But in about a year, that thing's going to be fully grown with gigantic 8-foot Texas Longhorns, baby. And then I will buy it. Disruptive to the election, too. Certainly. Going to start building a position 85. Probably a great entry point. Right now, the S&P is back and forth in a 5-point range. Obviously, nothing crazy there. I've already taken one great trade on NASDAQ. Nothing else remains on my plate except for the positions I have outlined in the trades channel. Assuming my short put expires worthless, I would have lowered my cost basis by $4.60, which is great. And I'm going to continue to do that and see if I can get my cost basis cut in half. That's my goal. My goal is to cut my cost basis by 50%, and that'll allow me to be a lot more aggressive on holding these long puts and buy me a lot more time. Nvidia is blasting out of the top here, almost at 901, and they are up 2% on the day. Tesla's getting destroyed. They're down 3.3% and still falling. Apple is still falling. They're down 1.13. AVGO is flat. Bond or NASDAQ looks like it wants to reclaim the top here. So if bond yields continue to go up, wouldn't TLT go down, and wouldn't the TBT be a high right now with that? Yeah, so that's exactly right. The overall consensus is that yields go up, bonds go down. That's correct. Do they always go perfectly like that? Not necessarily, but that's generally what they do most of the time. Yields go up, bonds go down. And that's because bond demand drops with increasing yields. As the yields go up in an environment with increasing yields, the bond demand is going to go down, and then vice versa. That's because of how you actually capture the auctions in the bonds. When you go to treasurydirect.gov and you're going to do the auctions, you want to see the yields topping because your goal is to lock in the top premium for the bonds. And in a increasing market, you want to wait until you capture that best price to lock in 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, whichever it is that you want to buy. Nvidia is still rocketing. Nasdaq is 18,320. ES is still dead flat. XLF is rolling off here, and tech, of course, is once again carrying the market. Do you think it's better to go Treasury Direct or just get a bond ETF? That really depends on you. You know, the bond ETF is not necessarily guaranteed. The bond ETF is going to fluctuate with the market, but when you buy a bond, that's about the most guaranteed thing you could buy. That's why they pay relatively low yields. So it really depends on what your strategy is. Do you want to lock in do you want to speculate on the price of the bonds? Do you do the ETF? Do you want to lock in the most quote unquote guaranteed return that you can possibly do on the market? Then you want to buy the bond itself. That's why the bond demand is such a high profile item right now, because you can lock in 5+% guaranteed for a year, which is a little ridiculous. If you got, if you're one of these dudes that's got a milli laying around that you don't want to do anything with, you can buy 4-week dated notes and re-auction those every month, and you're netting 5% a year, doing absolutely nothing. Waiting for Israel's second attack on Iran. Yeah, it was disgusting reading Twitter, man. I finally had to get off of it. It's just people have no idea what they're talking about by investing or about geopolitical environments on Twitter. It's crazy. People have absolutely no idea what they're doing. It's sad. It is a complete dumpster fire. Should probably unfollow Biden. I follow him for the comedic effect. Everyone became an expert over the weekend. Yeah. $18,311. ES is still holding a little bit red. Buy bonds, sell covered calls, collect dividends. That's how I'm going to go about going to retirement. There you go. I love it, McGurky. VIX is still rolling 1631. They are down 5% today after being up over 20% on Friday. And TLT is still dropping as well. NASDAQ is coming back off and everything. All eyes on NVIDIA today. Microsoft, what are they doing? Coming back up as well. Didn't know the rotary phone could connect to Twitter. Yeah, there goes NASDAQ back down. Very slow. Not a lot of big movement here. I've already closed out all my props for the day. I'm done with those. And, yeah, I'm going to see if I can put me on another position on my personal account. Visit this group instead. I love it, Red Ha. Love it. So what is the 3 time frame analysis telling my tier 2 peeps? By the way, I saw your comment there, Mr. 50. I have not loaded to the website yet. I'll do it today. All right. So the S&P here we have $52.07. Thanks, Damien. Yeah, I had an awesome weekend. It was extraordinary weather. A perfect 10 out of 10. Watched a couple of holes in the Masters, not much, while I was working. I just had it kind of on in the background. Very weird seeing Tiger shoot, plus 17, but the dude's almost 50 years old. His swing looks like crap. Disheartening. Tesla is selling off pretty aggressively to 165. Record highs this week. Yeah, it's supposed to be almost 90 degrees today, which is ridiculous. Yeah, he's been through a bunch of injuries. But you know, I went and rewatched a summary of his 2019 win, and today his swing is completely different. His swing now looks terrible. It looks like an amateur swing. Like he needs to wrap it up. His body's done. He can't even pivot anymore. Our garden is being delayed due to weather. Oh man. Global warming is hitting Alaska hard. It's telling her crazy, man. I think they're they have to build like ice shelters for the polar bears. All right, here's top of the hour right here. Let's see if we can get a move out. So far, S&P is pinned sideways. NASDAQ is 18,303. Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem with politics, Kennedy. It's no longer about politics. It's about emotional nonsense. It's a publicity contest at this point. All right, little green back up, 18316, red, green, red again. Have y'all identified the pattern so far on the daily chart on S&P? Y'all see what's going on there for like 11 days in a row now? Red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green, red, green. And if today closes green, tomorrow will be red. Back and forth. I've been trying to get into the golf. I go to the Grange once and hit my friends. It's an incredibly frustrating yet satisfying sport. Kind of like trading. VIX is about to kind of put a new low in 1627. I'm going to go hit refresh on the data. We've got still put buying across Apple, SPY, Tesla, and call buying still on NVIDIA, although it's kind of shallowed out a little bit. What we got? We'll see about that. ES is back inside the range. NASDAQ is back inside the range as well. ES. Hockey is a pretty fantastic sport to watch live. It's pretty awesome. All right, what else we got? I'm just kind of just looking through here a couple of different things, seeing what the setup is going to give us. After today, we have, let's see, we have a couple of small auctions today, 3 and 6 month. We have Fed Daily speaking tonight, Tuesday, tomorrow. We have Fed Chair Powell speaking at the Canadian Hold My Hand Kumbaya conference. We have a couple of housing data tomorrow morning, but nothing much. Wednesday, crude oil inventory and 20-year bond auction. A couple of FOMC speeches. Thursday, we have a lot of FOMC speeches, as well as bond auctions and initial jobless claims, Fed manufacturing. Last time we had initial jobless claims, it resulted in a very, very large move, which is weird. Friday, we have absolutely nothing. Are we leaning towards puts or calls? On the daily chart, I'm looking for a downside. I'm looking for the break of the range finally here as distribution begins to kick in. Not to mention, we do have a very, very green pre-market, which typically leads to reversal. That's usually a liquidity setup for downward action. 51.61. IV is elevated today too. So the IV environment continues to be elevated. It's not as high as it was Friday, but it's definitely elevated. I have a funny story about golf when I was in Randolph Air Force Base. It's the opposite true as well. Yeah, so if we have a red pre-market that's nothing but red with no bounces, then yeah, I would be very cautious shorting the open. Just like today, a very, very green pre-market with no pullback whatsoever, I'd be very cautious buying the open. Same thing. Anytime the market trends aggressively in one direction, and the key there is no pullbacks. So if we were very green, but we had like extreme sell-offs that dropped us back down to flat and then bounced, that's something completely different because we've already cleared out the order book already. But this pre-market has never pulled back. It just rallied and it never came down. So yeah, I'm very cautious to buy this top here. Same thing the other way around. TLT still getting smoked, 88.87, dropping back off. Well, I'm reading the chats from the Discord. In the Discord, we're streaming in Discord as well. A little bit more red on the S&P here. VIX is 1629. Bonds are still rolling over 88.84. Very boring price action so far outside of the opening candle. Nice features. Congratulations, baby. Life-changing money right there. You taking the full 2,000 out per contract or per account? Nice. Life-changing money. Well done. Well done. I'm about to take out my withdrawal on Top Step this week. I've hit my, I guess, the reallocation limit, so I'll be taking the withdrawal on that as well. After Friday, it put me way over. I don't like to carry that much money in there, just in case they decide to shut us all down. But Friday put me way over on the silver trade, so I'll be taking that out. A little bit of red candle coming off on the S&P. Nice little move. I jumped into an SPX put here on my IBKR. Like I said, I already closed out my props for the day. I'm done with that. And coming along nicely. Your latest educational video on the first hour time frame was awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I was trying to be as informative as possible. Look at this. Look at this. All right, ES just took out the low of the day. NASDAQ has not. We'll see if we can get down to 250. There we go. There we go. NASDAQ is coming off here, dropping back over. Man, look at that. 67% on puts in 30 seconds. And that's it for me today. Jeez Louise. We'll post update to my trading allowance table when it hits. I hear Top Step is quick to pay. Yep, they are. Top Step is fantastic. I've never had a single problem with Top Step. To be determined with Apex, though. To be determined. All right, coming off again here. Nice little move down. I'll be looking for 51.90 support, but bonds are getting smoked. The market is not going to be able to handle what's coming along here. Russell, Dow got smoked. Bonds are getting smoked. The VIX just rocketed back up almost to 17. This is a single support by NVIDIA. That's it. This is single-handedly supported by NVIDIA. All the X sectors are starting to build in red, which is the same exact crap we saw last week. The relative market weakness, the market breadth is still very red, with the exception It's no longer even the Mag 7 now. It's the Mag 2, which is NVIDIA and Meta. And that's what we're seeing here. Coming along nicely. 51.90. I'm at 74% on these puts. I'll go ahead and we got 18,262 still dropping. This thing is plummeting now. Negative 2,800 CVD, which is incredibly negative on NASDAQ, and ES is down to 51.91. 83%, and I might have to capture 100 here before I close. Still dropping. Ridiculous. There's 51.90, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap up a couple of contracts here to lock in some profit. Right here, 95%, and there's 102%, there's 105%. And I'm going to go ahead and take half off there. Bam, limit, and filled. Extraordinary. So now I'm in the position. Where I just locked in. Now I'm going to go even further. 137% on puts. My May puts are back to break even. And get this. My May puts are back to break even. But my 4,900 puts for that expire this Friday, my short puts, are still holding over 60% profit. That's the beautiful thing about a PDS, is that they will still hold value if they're so far away and collect that. So optimum scenario here is that we still hold over 4,900 short leg. I can collect that $4.6 credit, lower my cost basis down to about $31, still while playing downside as well. And I'm making, baby. I'm making bacon. And I'm going to continue to ride this thing. 137% so far and still dropping on puts. I told y'all. I freaking told y'all. All with y'all bullish euphoria. Buy the dip, told y'all, smoke show. Down we go. It's all liquidity. You know that scene in It? You know the movie It the Clown? Where the dude went to go get his little inhaler? And the guy was like, "It's only water. It's only water." Yeah, it's only liquidity. It's only liquidity. $187 on puts. Man, maybe I should open up my top step back up. This is ridiculous. This is obscene. 187%. I'm now back up. Holy crap. Now back up 17% on the May puts. Doing well. And I'm going to go ahead and close out a couple of more contracts. I'm going to leave on 3 contracts on the scalp here. Or I guess you can't even call that a scalp anymore, but yeah. Got to go to school, no trades. Love it. Will they gap fill SPX to Friday's close? Well, let's go take a look at SPX before I answer that question. There are gaps all over SPX because the volatility has picked up so much in the past week. We have like 15 gaps on SPX. And whether or not they fill, to be determined. Friday's price action was so incredibly bearish that this overnight price action, I warned y'all multiple times that I do expect them to at least not be bullish. Maybe not sell off, but not be bullish. And that's what we're doing here. So whether or not they fill it, I don't know. Usually, we had about a 1% open, right? We had just about a 1% open. Usually when the gap is that far, I don't look for that to fill. When a gap to that size, I usually don't look to fill. I think we might be on the brink of a small war growing a large one with this in Iran-Israel weekend. Might be spicy the next few weeks. Well, regardless if Iran, Israel, whatever that happens, the market obviously is going to price in liquidity. The market is going to take advantage of the interest in the volume and sweep levels. That's all they're going to do. Friday was exceptionally bearish with very little buy-up, despite the fact that we had 40,000 green CVD. And yeah, and now we had a little buy-up, slight little green, and then they just sold it all off in 2 candles. It's all gone in 2 candles. So who's truly in control here? I'm done, or Apex will get mad for not being consistent. Love it. Done for the day. Nice investment muscle. What's up, LeVar? $2. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for supporting the community. Hanging out. Great job making some money. I love it. Well done, and appreciate the support as always. SP still driving. NASDAQ is bouncing back up with NVIDIA. So the shakeouts are in control. Well, look at the daily range here. We have volume expansion with increase in volume. We have range expansion on the daily charts, and the weekly candles are starting to dump. In my opinion, it all ties right inside the lines of distribution. You don't get massive sell-offs after another during an uptrend. Puts just paid 150%. Nice rock. Well done, buddy. Congratulations. I've closed all but 3 contracts. I'm hitting right at about 100% left on these 3. And any kind of recapture of, I would probably say on ES, NASDAQ is bouncing back up because of NVIDIA. Once we recapture 41.90, let's say 41.95 or so, I'll go ahead and close out the rest. VPA buy signal on the 5-minute, yeah, but I'm not trading the 5-minute right now. 300 with a little size. Nice side gig. Is that chat live for VIP members? Well, I guess you can call it VIP members. Yeah, they're my VIPs. Yeah, I do have a private Discord that we discuss setups in and chat in every day. Yeah, I also stream in there Tuesdays and Thursdays when I'm not on YouTube as well. We are all VIPs. That's right. All right. Well, I've hit my daily goal for my props and my personal account. So once this trade is closed, most likely I'll be done. And yeah, we're celebrating Mrs. Owen's birthday today anyway, so got a lot going on today. Plus, I have softball games, baseball games. Have a busy day. Free buffet and protein shake. That's right. Not today, but we're celebrating it today. Caught some of that bounce for the day. Done. Nice. Up 11%, was up 18%, but lost some trying to sell. That's all right. Still great. And you see this iceberg, or not iceberg, liquidity right here, 51.89. CVD is now negative 13,000, so they've been dumping on this thing. I'm still holding the 3 contracts remaining on the puts, and I will close those if we recapture anything higher from here. Tell us so we can blow up. Yeah, go ahead and y'all can tag her if you want. She'll get a kick out of that. She'll get a kick out of that. Let's see, 51.92. We have not really any major icebergs today, just a lot of liquidity sweeps. Bonds are now tagging into the lower 88s. Nutty. Nutty. What's NASDAQ doing here? Happy tax day. Oh my gosh. Why do you have to remind me? So I had a pretty good day there too. Worst day of the year by far. We have to fund a corrupt government with 30% to 50% of our income. It's terrible. Then we have jabronis like Mark Cuban posting his tax bill of $288 million. And he's like, I'm paying my fair share. Like, shut up. Get out of here. How much did you or will you owe in taxes percentage-wise? I don't want to say. My effective tax rate is as low as I could possibly get it through a little bit of savvy plays with my financial advisor, but it's still sickening. It's still sickening. Worst day of the year for me. I wish it was nothing. I wish it was nothing. Don't I work for the government? Unfortunately, I do, yes. I think there should be no such thing as withholding or tax included gas prices so people can see how much they are spending to the gov. Yeah. You'd have to lose more trades. Yeah. 238%. Nice, Vampire. Beautiful, buddy. How do you find a good financial advisor? Word of mouth. Ask people that are far more wealthy than you are. And then when you actually get in front of a financial advisor, ask him questions. What is his or her returns? What do you trade? What's your policy? How do you handle things like this? Whatever the scenario may be. What do you do in a significant drawdown? Are you a fiduciary? That type of thing. And of course, see the returns. Ask him, does he have any non-investing strategies that can either one, produce you income, or two, save you tax or help your tax implications. Non-investing. I want stuff that is not tied to the stock market, like real estate, like investing clubs, not stock market investing, but real estate investing. Maybe some venture capitalism if you want to be real aggressive. Invest in local startups. All right, red's coming back off here, so the 3 contracts are back up, doing well. This is the first time I've started day trading back in 2021. I consistently made money on Monday, 3 weeks in a row. Nice, Pastor. Move to Dubai. I'd love to move to Dubai. Let's do it, baby. Horse racing clubs, yeah. Yep, that's why you go to longer time frame, Kit. Longer time frame. In fact, that reminds me. Let me screenshot this baby right here. There we go. I've been green for a solid week in my small options account. I'm up over 100%. Beautiful, yo, cheerio. Beautiful. 147% on the remainder puts. I'm going to hold those for a while. Geopolitical is a distraction. The plunge protection team is trying hard. Yep. Plunge protection NVIDIA is trying hard. One thing I've been inconsistent with recently is pre-market prep. So today I made it a goal to set some supply and demand zones. So when analyzing the charts this morning, I saw the 4-hour where there were 2 volume session profiles, POCs around 18,190, lasting 5 trading sessions. I saw 2 bottom wicks in pre-market around 18,192. So I marked that area as demand zone and put on a long order. Came down into that area and bounced, which allowed me to catch the entire bottom wick for a nice win. Nice, McGurky. Very cool. Well done. Keep doing that stuff and it'll pay off. Call in the morning, go work in my garden. Nice, Damien. All right, so how many days were your puts dated for? The ones I just now took were 0 DTEs, but that's not my swing trades. I've got a couple of swing trades on right now. It sounded like a guy reading the fine print on a pharmaceutical commercial. I love it. I wish that dude probably makes a lot more money than I do. The VIX still holding 1674 with a large green. Apple hasn't moved. NVIDIA continues to try to press higher, but that's it. Literally, it's just NVIDIA. Russell is down and staying down. Dow is down and staying down. We have a negative 3,500 CVD on NASDAQ with no icebergs. We have a negative 13,000 CVD on ES with very small icebergs. but the CVD continues to drill lower. The morning range is about to set here in about 5 minutes, and we'll know exactly how to play this thing. We're dealing with a 35-point range on ES, which is a very, very good range. NASDAQ, we are dealing with a 200-point, 150-point range on NASDAQ, which is also very good. We have a top wick forming on the 15-minute here. We'll see if we could sweep back down, at least retest a morning low of 51.79, and we'll make a decision on to cut or hold these puts. Nice, Nicholas. If we drill again today, if we do manage to have a trend down day and drill again, when we do put a new low in, I will sell additional puts, probably again for Friday. I'll just go further out than my current ones and continue to lower cost basis little by little. We have another top wick forming on the 15-minute right here. I'm not going to open up my top step again. I'm not going to open up my top step again. Gracias. Can I ask why you're only trying to cover half your cost base by selling premium? Just a goal. It's more along the lines that I'm confident in my theory that we're going down. If I wasn't confident, then I'd probably be a little more aggressive trying to sell more premium, and I might sell more premium. It really depends on conditions permit. But I do think at some point we are going to come down and at least put these long puts in the money. And as much as I do want to sell premium against a lower cost basis, I think we're pretty too close to the point where if you don't know how to hedge, I'd be very careful shorting any kind of puts. I may not even get to 50% profit because if this thing tanks until then you won't have a really opportunity to sell puts. What I could do, though, is start shorting calls and just continue to do the same process. The daily chart is becoming very ominous, and if today gives out, it'll be a lot more. Shorting calls is a credit spread? Yeah. Yeah. You prefer to short calls? I prefer to short puts, honestly. My biggest losses in trading have come with call credit spreads, not put credit spreads. Case in point, March 2023. Yeah, puts, yeah. It just occurred to me your 517 position is pretty ideal because it goes against you. You can cinch up your short leg all the way up to break even. Yeah, I wanted to be aggressive yet realistic, which is pretty much my theme with any position, is aggressive yet realistic. But taking the strike that I did for May 17th allows me to be very nimble. It allows me to challenge the market and still sell, especially the way premiums are juiced right now because of the increased volatility, the increased volume. I think that we could reach a point where I could potentially start to be very aggressive with selling premium and still make money on my long put. That's the great thing, is that if I'm very strategic about my placement of short puts, even short calls, I could probably make out like a bandit with these things. I could put myself in a position to be very profitable on the March May puts and still collect a good amount of premium. And if I can lower my cost basis more than 50%, absolutely, I will do that. I will try that. But the trick is not to be too aggressive. Like, for example, I shorted a 4,900. Like, I didn't want to do 5,100 or 5,000 and try to get that really fat, nice credit, because credits were super nice going into April 19th on shorting the premium. But I wanted to basically challenge the market to sell 300 points this week and still be able to collect premium, all the while being covered on negative delta for my long puts. So as long as I maintain negative delta and we sell off 300 points, I'm fine. I'll just collect as needed. How long have I been trading? This is my 13th year. It's been a long time, man. A long time. Calls are hammering NVIDIA right now. Hammering NVIDIA. I like the PCS, but your management of the PDS has really opened my eyes to new strategies. Oh, I'm glad, Mr. 50. That's my intent. I appreciate that. I just sat out the market, listened to you all the while the market raged up, let my long form eat, but didn't touch anything other short other than some puts along the way. Nice. Couple of icebergs here at 5187. Let me go look at the 0 DTE GEX and see what has shifted. Chart type. Strike SPX. Where's SPX at right now? 5155 is the positive GEX. Negative GEX is down to 5100, and that is it. The main GEX today is 5100. We are in negative GEX territory, which is increase of volatility and could induce more selling if we punch this area. That's interesting. Why is that? No, that's not right. What is this? If Apple would sell back down to 168 in the near term, do you think support is more likely to break? Yes. So if Apple starts reattacking and without any kind of significant bounces, I would expect that 168 to break. We've already had 2 major bounces off of it, and every bounce after that is going to continue to absorb the demand. And then if the sellers just whack that demand, then they will retest 155, 156. What kind of wedge is on the 5-minute? Which chart? Yes. What kind of wedge? Munster cheese. It just looks like a pennant really here, a sideways flag, a little pennant right here. Little consolidation, that's all. Is there one? Yeah, you know, yeah, but we just filled an iceberg. Nasdaq is putting on a little ascending wedge. VIX is still holding high at 17, so it really, I don't see really much here. I don't really see much. We have another top wick forming. If you look at the 30-minute time frame with the multiple time frame analysis, we have a top wick on the 30-minute candle, and it's still testing us down into the 5180 area on ES. But I don't know. I'm still holding my couple of contracts here on my puts. They're doing very well, and if we break up, I'll go ahead and stop out. And if we go down, then great. We just had an 1150 iceberg hit on the tape here at 5190, and right after that transact, we go down, and ES is going to test a little bit lower here. The 5-minute has a pretty bearish VPA signal. Obviously, I'm confirming on the 15 and 30 on my 3 multiple time frame analysis chart here to judge flow. You're welcome, Motivation. What's your opinion about the 10-20 EMA crossover as a method for long-term swing candidates? It's not one that I use. I personally use, if I am doing crossovers like that, I use the 3450 crossover for a long-term swing candidate. But I think in this market, crossovers and EMAs are not working at all. Not at all. Not to mention, in a consolidation market, which we currently are in, EMAs don't work at all. Period. The market's just you can't track EMAs on a consolidation standpoint because they're all going to be pretty much range bound to the middle. They're going to be pretty much mirroring VPA or VWAP. Now, once we start trending, you can kind of bring them back into play. Like I said, back in a normal bullish market, I use the 3450 crossover to add 3 to 6 week dated swing positions because that was the cycle. 3 to 6 week bull move followed by a pullback, and then once they cross, you enter or exit as needed. But I personally don't use the 10-20. 30 minutes still has a heavy top wick rolling over, and we're going to retest 51.79 on ES. Once we take that out, that's where I'll look to start attacking the lower exposure and liquidity on the book. I'm still going to hold the puts. Israel claims they have no choice but to retaliate against Iran, which basically accomplished nothing with their attack. And it was funny watching people opine on Iran's intentions. Sorry about that. I'm back. All right, so still riding lower here. I'm at a 210% on puts, and I'm at 20% on the made puts. So let's go, baby. LFG. Multiple time frame analysis. Multiple time frame analysis. This chart is working very well. I love it. I think I may stick with this week. It's better than the six chart I had. I left to push the market lower. Yeah, I had to call my broker and put in an order. My girlfriend's visit came to visit from the West Bank. It's funny because for being in the midst of all this chaos, they are unfazed. Life goes on. Had to be those telegraphed attack in military history. It was a probe. What they did was a probe. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the best explanation. Occam's razor. Probe. Probe. 51.74 on ES, and I'm up 227% on puts, and I may have to add a contract. VIX is spiking again. Watch the VIX. Watch the VIX. The VIX is holding the upward trajectory. If they do not sell the VIX after punching 18, then I think we're getting ready for markdown. And if they sell off today and flip back to red, we will flip into markdown. ES is 8 points away from flipping red. NASDAQ is 19 points away from flipping red. And they're about to undo all of that juicy, bullish, euphoric price action in pre-market. You're welcome, Motivation. Thanks for the question. Red candles, baby. I'm going to take off one contract on over 200%, and I'm going to leave on 2 remaining contracts for a runner and see how far we can get on this thing. And then that'll be it for me. I may call it a day there. No more reason to trade today. Ooh. Y'all want to hear something crazy? So last year I planted peach trees. I just went to the local co-op and I bought some Georgia peaches and I planted them. Throughout the spring, the bees have been all over them, been killing them. And today, or this weekend, I saw there's peaches all over them. 1-year-old trees got peaches on them. It's crazy. Caught Lulu at the top. Nice, yo, cheerio. Beautiful. Will random bees go into your hives? I think they defend the hives like that. They do. There's like robbing scenarios where they can do that. So, are you gonna pull the peaches so the tree can focus on rooting? Yeah, the trees are too small for peaches, so that's what I've read is that you have to thin the buds and then of course trim the peaches so the tree can go bigger. Because the fruit won't even be that good. What is this? 747 acres in Kentucky for 1.1 million. Anybody live in Kentucky? Beautiful land. That's a little far from me in Alaska, though. I have a 3-year-old peach tree in my yard and a pair of the same age. The peach had 3 fruits last year. Did some pruning a few weeks ago. Soaked for the summer. Nice, Umi. Set my PDS long strike 490 short at 480. I'm done for the day. Nice, Pastor. I can live there if you offer to buy it for me. What day does live usually happen? I stream live on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I also stream exclusive for the Discord Tuesdays and Thursdays. Usually it's the stream starts a couple of minutes before market opens at 9:30 Eastern and goes until about 11:30, 11:45 Eastern, somewhere in there. Sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit shorter, depending on the market. Another top wick on the 5:15:30. And if ES takes out this 51.77, I would fully anticipate pre-market lows, which will be 51.64. So that sets you a line at 51.64. Three green trades so far. Best I quit while my head. My biggest problem is over trading. With the first 5-minute candle after, are you talking about the low of the first 5-minute candle? Yeah, so the opening price. So for me, it would be, at this case, the 5 minute would be open. We had a very green candle that opened and popped up in the top wick. So the low is 51.6425. Just joking about Alaska. I'm not joking. Here, look. Here, I'll take a picture of my back porch. Hold on, that's not a good one. Okay. There. There you go. It's my back porch. 51.78. Trout. Sketchy. 51.90. Have your doubts. Glad I did not trade today. Why? What's up? Do you think we keep going lower the rest of the day? I could see it. Yeah, because of what happened in pre-market. I'll say this: I think we are going to recapture pre-market lows. After that, I don't know. I'm still riding my puts. Until that. Got to prune them the first couple years into a vase shape, hard as the branches. Okay, good to know. How'd you get a picture of my back porch? My wife's family's from Alaska. Beautiful place. Too cold in the winter. Here comes the S&P dropping again. No birch bark canoe sitting on the shore. Yeah. Checks metadata. It's chest day? Yeah, buddy. I don't do chest days on Monday. Even if my chest day falls on a Monday, I won't do chest day on Monday. Just out of principle. Um, yeah, so I did back today. New low here coming off. Puts are now up 214. The amount of times a day here, first essential time, I think it's obvious. Why not chest on Monday? Because everybody does chest on Monday. If you go into a gym and try to do chest on Mondays, I mean, good luck finding a bench. I typically like to do leg day on Monday because nobody touches the leg machines on Monday or the squat rack. VIX is still going up, 1750. And that's the big kicker for me today. We've got a lot of weird stuff going on. Bonds, yield, yeah, that's true. XLF just gave back their entire green, so that's why the S&P is very heavy. But the VIX, the fact that VIX rejected 18 on Friday and is now recapturing upper 17s now, they're not ready to sell the VIX off. Now, what does that mean for us? I've said it 500,000 times. And the VIX is all about positioning in the options chain. And what does that tell me? The fact that the VIX finally will not sell off and hold, that the market is still positioning for protection. So that's a huge red flag for me. Grab a log in your backyard and do squats. I have done that before. What's the ticker for VIX on TradingView? VIX. VIX. Couple of buys. We have a 10, or we have a 1,000 buy and a 523 sell. A little bottom wick here on the 5 minute. Is there a separate data sub required for the VIX? Shows delayed. You have to pick the right VIX. There's two different VIXs on there. Make sure you're selecting TVC VIX. I'll show you what I mean. So if you search for VIX, you get a whole bunch of VIXs, right? But you want to select the one that says TVC. That way you'll get live VIX. Now, theoretically, it's not actually live. It's delayed by like 3 seconds or something, 2 seconds. But it's the most live you're going to get with TradingView, if it actually even matters. Alaska only, yeah. A little bit more red. Still failing lower. A couple of icebergs hitting the tape here. CVD is still dropping. But all we're doing is pin to the morning low right here. The morning low, which is 51.79. So playing the morning range, we're glued to the morning range now. The past couple of weeks, what we've been seeing is a lot of green and then pinned to the morning high and then big move. Now we're kind of seeing we're pinned to the morning low. Coming back off. And we'll see what they want to do here. No additional trades for me just yet. Once I wrap up this trade, I'll probably call it a day. Let's see here. Man, it's going to be crazy hot today. It's nuts. A little bit of red. What does Bookmap show on NASDAQ? Let's take a look. NASDAQ has got a little bit down to 18,150. Where will 18,150 put us on NASDAQ? 18,150 will put us right at settlement low. Right at it. Like 1 point off of it. So if we transact that, in fact, if I were you all, what I would do is set a level right on NASDAQ of 18,146. Also, 18,120. That is last week's low. That is overnight low. If we get through those levels, we will have a significant trend down day. If we support those levels, then you can look to play long there. For the S&P, I would look for 51.64. And then yesterday or last week, we have 51.50 on the money, which will put it about another 24 points down on the S&P. I'm still holding my puts. That's it. That's all I got. I've got 2 contracts remaining my SPX trade. And then after that, lunchtime. What's American Airlines doing right now? AAL. Getting smoked. New low of the day for the S&P. Beautiful stuff. Saw the CEO of Delta on Bloomberg. They did not hedge oil, but they have their own refinery. Interesting. Is Apple holding up his house of cards? Nvidia was. Now they're giving it all back and still dropping. Top wick again, still looking to shift lower. No more of the plays. Just waiting. Let's take a look at the premiums. What are we doing here? Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Y'all need to experience PDSs. What a fantastic play. I'm so bad at this, I'm actually going to lose my life savings. Yeah, don't do that, man. Pull it back. Pull it way back. Until you learn the process. I really liked how you waited to cover your swing put. I'm going to try that next swing trade. Thanks, Nicholas. Yeah. There's more things to add to your toolbox. Another top wick again. This should be a real chillax way to make easy money. Yeah, I like it. I like it. That's my goal after March, man. Is the market didn't cause me a lot of stress. I caused myself a lot of stress. So I'm being chillax. I'm gonna be like a combination of Snoop Dogg and Cheech on mushrooms, while taking downers. Like that's my goal to be April, is just chillax. And so far so good, baby. So far so good. Last week I gave the week of gains. This green this morning, I'm back to single contracts. Nice red. Nice. New low of the day for ES. Coming on down. I'll completely expect pre-market lows here. That's why I'm still riding my contracts. I'm up 247%. And yeah, we'll go. Just watching at this point. Still dropping. Were you bearish today just because of the war? No. Well, there's two reasons. There's two reasons why I'm bearish here. One, the macro chart, the daily chart, is incredibly bearish. Two, from a micro standpoint, whenever I see green price action that never stops in pre-market trading, that has reversal written all over it. And yesterday's pre-market action, it happened last week too. Futures caught it. When we have extremely green price action that goes up and up and up and up from settlement open to settlement close or pre-market close, that has got reversal written all over it. I'm very, very cautious to do any longing at that level. So we come off. And now we're getting a little continuation here. And if we do manage to take out last week's lows, then in my opinion, we're full-blown markdown phase. I feel it. That's right. So, what expiration do you choose while buying the put? Aren't you worried on zeros that may be subject? Yeah. For my plays like this, I typically play zeros until the last power hour, and then I'll kind of switch to ones. But yeah, the goal is obviously is to catch a trend where delta will overcome your theta, because the closer you get into in the money positions, which right now I'm deep in the money, the better my delta will be, and the theta will hold up, because theta is going to now that my products are intrinsic, your theta is not going to take a hard as effect as you would be with an extrinsic position. What do you mean last week's lows? Do you mean if we break 51.10? No, 51.50 on ES. Unless you mean SPX, then yeah. You're welcome, 10 May. I can feel it down my plums. Just curious, do you prefer a 3 or 5 minute chart or interchange? Honestly, I rarely go to the 3. Rarely. Maybe a couple of times a month I'll track the 3. But the lowest I'll go is 5, and then right now I'm tracking the 5, 15, 30 simultaneously. I'm using Anna Colling's chart, multiple time frame analysis on the 3 buy to track 5, 15, 30 simultaneously. So far it's working pretty well. You're welcome. Imagine winning the Masters the same day your son is born. It's crazy. A little bit of green so far. $200 away from passing the 20 evals. Nice, Daft. Well done, buddy. What do you think is pushing yield so much? No, it's not just retail. It's everything. Going back and looking at all the data, CPI, I mean everything. Nothing points to a market or an economy that's supportive of rate cuts. The market is still far too hot. The economy, I'm sorry, is far too hot, not the market. The economy is still far too hot, and the market is pricing in the lowering possibility of a cut in June to the point where it's not even going to happen. Now they're pushing it to September. So yields are spiking, bonds are coming off because of that. And of course, there's even some rumblings of another hike, which I don't think will happen. It's not just the retail sales, it's all of the data, which, in my opinion, is heavily manipulated and not accurate. But that's neither here nor there. Exit my runners for SPY, as where it's marked at significant level support, $500, 500% win. Nice side gig. I'm going to see if I can hold these two runners until pre-market lows. Apple is starting to squeeze higher, so obviously it's, they're doing their part to support the S&Ps here. Hmm. Yeah, Apple's breaking out big time. Three major candles on Apple. Nvidia's still coming down. Microsoft, XLF, everything is still dropping. VIX is still going up, but Apple is the only one squeezing. So there's always got to be one. Top wick on ES still coming down. Just slowly riding puts down here. Slowly riding puts down here. Nothing crazy. All we need is one good push down, and we should have 100% on the May puts. We should. Yeah, Apple needs to fail. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult. Let's go see how they're shifting the gexes here. How are you confident in puts today? I'm struggling with that. Theory. My thesis for the day played out. I'm telling you, man, there is understanding what happens in pre-market can help you a lot to kind of cut out the noise. It's very Once you understand that the market is literally built around liquidity, you could start to understand what's happening. The market does not care about Iran or Israel or anything else for that matter. The market doesn't care about rate cuts. The market doesn't care about anything. All the market cares about is the auction. Even reading Anna Colling's book, reading Linda Raskey's book, Trading Sardines, she doesn't talk a dang thing, either one of them, about interpreting news or any other crap like that, or geopolitical climates, or wars, or, you know, drugged up presidents or anything like that. All they talk about is where dealers like to buy and where dealers like to sell. That's it. If you could start thinking like that, you could start seeing, the forest for the trees here. You could start seeing what's actually going on behind the scenes. When I see movement that's usually suspect, then I have to pay attention to that. The market was incredibly green the entire pre-market. Very rarely do they do that and continue to blast without some sort of catalyst. The reason why they are rallying the market for no obvious reason is to sell it off. The only reason they're selling the market off aggressively with no obvious reason is to buy it up. That's it. It's all about buying at low, selling at high, over and over and over again. So in pre-market, when I see a very, very strong green pre-market with no selling whatsoever, that is the sign to, at minimum, do not buy the top, and at best, short the top. Heard advice that stuck with me. Don't trade the news, trade the reaction to the news. Yeah, in fact, Trading Sardines has pretty much that exact quote. And that's why I love, following these two women, is because their thesis and their statements they make, like they could be best friends. They tie together like lamb and tuna fish. What were those books you just said? Complete Guide to Volume Price Analysis by Anna Colling. And the second book I'm reading, well, not the second book, but the book I'm reading currently is called Trading Sardines by Linda Raschke. If you'd like to buy the book, do not Amazon it. You'll pay like $150 or something crazy. Go buy it directly from her website, $30. Iran will immediately respond even stronger if Israel launches an attack, which we know as Israel will launch an attack, and Iran will respond appropriately, which is why they did what they did this past weekend. I tend to know a lot about drones, considering that's my career. There is no scenario on which anybody in the Iranian military or parliament will have thought that those drones would have struck anywhere near Israel, especially with United States missile defense systems on the coast, SAM sites and all that stuff. So why would they launch 187 drones knowing that they're all going to get shot down? And then say, that is suffices, we will not attack again. They're probing. They're probing. They're testing defenses for a larger attack, for something more meaningful. Because you have to ask yourself two questions, or two scenarios. Either the Iranian military is incredibly incompetent and has no idea what they're doing, which may be true to some degree, but I mean, come on. Or two, they have something different in mind. Which one makes more sense? $18,200. Your podcast video this weekend was awesome and solidified how I've been trading last month and has made much clearer in the market. Not just pre-market, but the opening confirming thesis. Nice. Thanks, Side Gig. I appreciate that. Do I have any positions right now? Yes, I currently have 3 open positions at the moment. TV says they're incompetent. Anyone not USA is incompetent. Yeah, I mean, that's what they want you to think. Yeah. They did, Kennedy. They're actually in cahoots with the U.S. military-industrial complex. Hear me out. Iran launches drones. Israel uses munitions. Defeat drones. Israel buy munitions. I mean, there's probably some truth to that, too, yeah. How many more can be shot down before they are really overwhelmed? Honestly, probably a lot more. They don't even need lights, though. In the military application, I mean, yeah, I see your point, and you definitely are correct, but they don't even need lights. Like simple infrared, even the most basic of infrared can pick up a heat signature from miles away. They don't need lights. In fact, in certain applications, in many applications, using infrared is more clear than the actual visual light spectrum on using lights. You can see better with infrared. Will there be a World War III this year? I don't know. I hope not. Yeah, it was a lot. Daddy long legs. I hope not. Top wick on ES 5170. All right, it is now 11:16. We're trying to attack a couple of lower positions here. I've got a couple of runners on. They're doing well, and we'll see. Was 52.13 a significant level on the S&P? 52.13. Let me see. Not particularly. We do have some significant levels a little bit higher than that, but no. There were some pivots from Wednesday and Tuesday there, but nothing crazy. Did I see Civil War? No, not yet. Although I'm very curious to see Hollywood's representation of Civil War, especially from the southern states' perspective. But no, I haven't seen it yet. In terms of strategy, is it reasonable to think that there is some drawn-out conflict? Could they make this? Could they make as many missiles as they need to keep killing drones? Is that a real scenario, or stockpile so large it isn't a real concern? Um, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there is some degree where where they could overwhelm defenses, but I don't think that's a true intention. That's not really a practical way because, especially if the United States gets involved with defense, I mean, you can't overwhelm. You can't overwhelm that. The phalanx system, not to mention SAM sites that can strike from many miles away. No. Yeah, that would never happen. Uber. Yeah. But that's why in my opinion I think it's for something bigger. They're probing, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit of both. Maybe overwhelming defenses and probing, whatever. But there's a reason why they're not that dumb. Never underestimate your enemy. Not to say they're my enemy, but whatever. In a hypothetical war, would the U.S. come out on top if a war against Russia, China, NK, and Iran? In my opinion, yes. I do think we would. I think we would smoke Russia. China is unable to fund their army. They have the people, but they're unable to support their army. They can't even feed their own people. Not to mention they're very much strategically landlocked. North Korea's got nothing, and Iran is a drop in the bucket against us. But you know that's what $37 trillion will get you. However, if you want my opinion, and I know we're all thinking about trust me, I do not want war to happen. In fact, I think the United States needs to pull out of every single country and come back home. But that's whatever. That's my opinion. But the next war is not going to be about bullets and missiles. It's going to be IT. It's going to be electronic warfare. The first thing China's going to do is push a button and shut down our grid. That's how they're going to defeat us, because the United States is incredibly fragile right now, infrastructure, and that's the way to do it, and that's the way it'll happen. They know they can't go toe to toe with the United States with missiles, so that's the way they'll do it. That's my opinion, of course. Showed exactly that. Yeah. The only meme that made me laugh was Iran's about to find out what trillion, 37 trillion debt. Yeah, I saw one that said Iran's about to find out why we don't have free healthcare. Like, yeah. Do I chart VIX like you would? Negative. In my opinion, charting VIX is a fruitless endeavor. There's no volume on the VIX, so how can you chart the VIX? The VIX is a calculation of options chain information, so you can't possibly showcase volume patterns. Would you recommend trying to incorporate reading order flow in my strat? Absolutely, I would. 100%. Even if you don't use Bookmap, which I encourage you do, even if you don't use Bookmap, I highly encourage you to learn order flow. I mean, it's, in my opinion, I don't know how you can trade without it. The knock on Bookmap is spoof orders. How do you overcome that? Well, that's not going to be that's not only for exclusive to Bookmap. You can spoof orders on the order book. I mean, all Bookmap does is just pipe the data into their proprietary software. So, I mean, spoof orders are something that is going to be all over the place. You just have to understand and keep. You have to be monitoring the order flow enough to know what's a spoof, what's not, what looks like a spoof. I mean, the guy that traded from his mom's attic, he spoofed the market and destroyed the market. It happens. What are some good ways to view the order flow other than Bookmap? Level 2 data, trade off the DOM, any other software besides Bookmap. A lot of brokerages now offer their own version of Bookmap, even if it's watered down. There's a bunch of different ways. You've traded for a while now, but around when did you find yourself being consistently profitable? 3 years in. 3 years in. What would you say is your average win rate for trades? I no longer track my transactional win rate for scalps. If I had to guess, 60%, 65% on scalps. My swing trading win rate is much higher, just because that's the style of trader that I am off VPA. New low of the day for the S&P. I'm at 280% on my scalp puts here. North America's been self-sufficient with oil. It's been for 15 years. I don't know why we can't just stay out of it. Yep. Yep. What makes you think it's a spoof order outside of the order moving? I don't see any spoofs right now. Just somebody asked me, how do you get around spoofs? I don't see any spoofs at the moment, but was your scalp you took right at market a momentum play? No, it was a VPA play. VPA was breaking down, not to mention my overall thesis that I thought we were going to sell off today. So it was VPA meets theory. New low of the day for the S&P. Nvidia is getting destroyed. Nvidia is about to give back their entire 3% green day. What is it, 2.5%? Didn't they hit? Didn't quite get 3%, but That makes sense because I'm coming up on 3 years of trading and I'm finally seeing month-over-month profitability. Beautiful. Beautiful. And that depends on the trader, you know. I kind of talked about this a while ago, is that people talk about failure and success. But if you're not intentionally learning and trying to learn, it's not failure if you're no longer successful, or if you're not successful. It's wasting time. If you're not being intentional with your trades, if you're not being intentional with any endeavor, it's not called failure. The only way it can actually be failure is that if you're attempting to tighten up a strategy, implement something, learn, grow, change, and it still doesn't work out, then it's failure because you learn from failure. But if you're not doing those things, if you're just being a degenerate gambler and YOLOing and constantly blowing up, you're just wasting time. You're not doing anything constructive. So that's why I'm saying it depends on the person. 3 years, you can actually be successful at this and profitable and consistent. You just have to learn to do this, learn from your mistakes, and for the love of God, execute your freaking rules. That's the most frustrating thing that's the most frustrating thing about being in my seat of a, I guess, educator, whatever you want to call it, in this role, is that I see people who just refuse to implement rules and execute their rules. It's like, how many times do you need to be punched in the face before you learn to duck? Follow your freaking rules. Even if they're bad rules, follow the rules, and then if they don't work, change them. Adjust the rules. But follow something. Why you got to call me out? That's why I gave back last week, because I traded face to fist. And trust me, I broke my rules too. That's why I had a red March. That's why my stomach's in knots over it. 15 days into April, because I broke my rules and I gave it back. You're supposed to move out away from a punch, yes. Or at least counter punch. Multiple time frames still says down here. I'm still looking for pre-market lows, if not weekly or monthly lows of 51.50. I'm up 260%. The swing puts are up 30. Doing very well. Doing very well. Some people are immune to good advice. Down for NASDAQ too? I believe so. Yep. Yep. Now, especially now that Apple is following suit and not rocketing. I've got a green doji on the ES 30 minute. Appreciate this place. Was stuck in my own head before I found this place to vent with people that know the feeling, but doing better today. Nice, Red. Yeah. Well done. I appreciate you being here. What do I think about adding to the swing puts? Not a terrible idea. Would I still do the same expiration? No, I would probably tow it out another week just to reduce, because once you get within 30 days, data starts ramping up, and we're approaching that 30-day mark. What do you have as a PM low? I have PM low at 51.6425. 51.6425. Is that your target for your remaining puts? That's what I would like to see. Yeah. What's up, Corey? I appreciate the support, buddy. Thank you very much. I know you constantly contribute, so thank you for hanging out and supporting the community. For those struggling, I've been red for over 3 years. I found the OM community 2 to 3 years ago, and 2 months ago it finally clicked, and now I trade as of today's trade. I'm officially green for the last, I can't see that, 12 months. Very cool. It's a great feeling when you click over for a 52-week high in your portfolio. It's a fantastic feeling. Well done. Congratulations. Do you see Angel Hernandez, for baseball fans, you'll see Angel Hernandez's calls this weekend? It's terrible. Ridiculous. I don't understand how they keep that dude employed. All right, what time is it? 11:31. 11:31 here. Look like I saw that people were complaining that all the ski slopes are shutting down in like April, early May, and last year they were open till almost June. There's still a positive in him being around, though. He's going to be the reason why we get automated strike zones. That's true. Played a Little League at a park they worked in. Nice. All right, any final questions here? If we recapture the morning low, I'll go ahead and close out my remaining puts here, although there's only 2 left. And that'll be it. And that'll be it for the day, and I won't be taking any more trades. So, do you have stops on the puts? Not yet, but if I do, if I'm still in the trade by the next couple of minutes I sign off, I will put a stop on them. But if I had to guess, I'll probably, in fact, right now, close out the rest of these as we recapture the morning low here. Which I'll do that right now. Yep, I'm going to go ahead. No, it's a reject. I'm going to give it a chance to reject the morning low before I close it out. I'm going to stick to my thesis. As long as we hold it at the morning low, I'll hold them. One option, 1 feet, 4% on the port. Nice, Vampire. Well done, buddy. Morning low is 10:30 a.m. 10:30 Eastern time, correct. 10:30 Eastern time. So an hour ago. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to close out. Recapturing that morning level, which will probably go back down anyway, but hey, I'll take my profits off here because I'm getting rep today up. And out. Closed. Hoping for a trend down day. I mean, we had a pretty decent trend down here. We just went, what, 50 points? Sell off? That's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Where's SPX at right now? SPX is 51.37. I'm going to go out to April 19th here. I might sell some more premium today. What was my price when I got to my puts? 52.05 was my the price on S&P. So I took it. I took the put here. If you look on the stream, I'll tell you exactly where I took it. I looked up the timestamp. I took it right when we broke this level right here, because we had the consolidation. Plus, y'all knew my thesis. I was pretty vocal about the fact that I didn't think we were going up. Right when we broke on this candle right here is when I entered, and down we came, and there we go. Did I expect this much? Not necessarily, but it worked out well. Is there a way to put up a poll or suggestion box for the next OM book for the OM Book Club? I'm always looking for books to read, and I've been pulling a lot of suggestions from the group. I'm almost done with Complete Turtle Trader, and I might tackle Anacoling's binary options. Yeah, we can do that. In fact, let's put it in the... you can run one of those new polls in the general book discussion. How about this? How about y'all give me like 4 different options, and I'll make a poll and see which one we do next. What time do you open those puts? Usually you don't like to trade the first hour. Yeah, I traded. It took them after the first 30 minutes. So typically I don't trade the first 30 minutes, not the first hour. 9:05 was when I took them. Actually, a little bit before. 9:04.5 is when I took those puts. My time, Central Time. So I didn't break a rule. I want to be very careful with verbiage. I didn't break any rules because I don't have any rule that says I don't trade after the first 30 minutes. My thesis was down. I saw the move and I took it, and we broke below that prior pivot. Alaska Central Time. Yep. How low do you think TLT will get this year? I think we'll at least retest the 52-week low. EU close bounce. That's what it looks like. Yeah. Yep. The book on Black Swan events might be a good book for folks in the volatile geopolitical time. I read that a few years ago. Might be worth it. Yeah, let's do it. Now, you give me a couple of suggestions. I'll do a poll, and then whatever y'all suggest is what we'll do. I'm about wrapped up with trading sardines here. We'll do another one. I know I thought it was an hour. Maybe I'm mixing up the range in my head. Yeah, the first 30 minutes. The first hour is when the range is set, but the first 30 minutes is what I typically... And it's not that I don't like to trade the first 30 minutes, is that you can't apply VPA the first 30 minutes very well. That's the thing. Like I said, I'll take a trade in the 30 minutes if I see a setup, but I typically don't go off of a lot of VPA because it's all momentum driven. I think TLT is a great play if you have time. I don't see this interest rate level as sustainable with this much debt. Yep. Absolutely. Long term, I'm nothing but bullish on TLT. Long term. I just think short term we could punch a little bit lower into the 81, 82 area. But absolutely, if you got time, I wouldn't even consider downside positions on TLT. That's why I'm not buying puts right now on TLT, because I do think at any point we could wake up to some sort of intervention and TLT will rocket. But I think we will face a little more pressure. Has CVD shifted? It has. It's gone from I don't remember what it was. It was pretty significantly red, 4 or 5,000, I'd say, and then now they're positive 2 grand with this liquidity up to 51.90. By intervention, you mean easing? Um, I have a I have a different view on the quantitative easing. We have, from a public viewpoint perspective, we were supposed to have been in quantitative easing for a couple of years now, but they're not. In fact, they're once again putting assets back on the books. They're not easing anything. Longer dated assets. So I don't know if that's even in the conversations anymore. I haven't seen very many people discuss that. I think now it's kind of switched to all. I think it's all switched into the rate cut, rate hike cycle transition. But the problem is that we have corrupt data. So the Fed is supposed to be independent of politics, but obviously it's not. The more they try to reassure us of that, the more skeptical it becomes, and all the data that we are doing with rate cuts and hikes is dependent on that data. So at what point does the buck cross the buck stop here? Could we see Nasdaq on bookmap before you take off? Yeah, definitely. 15,300, 18,100. Not much on Nasdaq. No icebergs. Liquidity is up and down, more skewed to the south, and we have a slightly green CVD. I'm buying it for long term. I think 120 is definitely in the cards. I agree. All right. Any final questions here? I'm currently I closed out my short dated puts. I got 161% on the remainders. My top trade was over 200% on most of the trades, so that was doing pretty well. No more trades on props today. I've already locked in profit there, and that's it. If I were to take another trade today, I believe it'll be adding more short puts if we were to put another low in here. The lower we get, the more I want to kind of stiff arm the market even further and put on additional short puts as riding the short deltas down on the puts. Another red candle here, rejecting the morning low. Rejecting the morning low. You're welcome, Sam. You're welcome, Terp Lord. TLT's coming back off, fixes up again. If I had to give you a few tidbits to pay attention to today, keep an eye on the VIX. Keep an eye on the VIX. The VIX looks different. Volatility looks different here. Premiums are juiced. IV is higher. Premiums in the long-dated expirations are carrying more juice. And the VIX is still holding up in the 17. So if we continue to recapture, I think one of these days we'll have a large spike into the 22, 25, 30 range with a large red move on the S&Ps and the indexes, other indexes. That's what we're looking for here, and it does appear that the VIX is setting up for that. Usually we'd have already rejected by now. You can see we've already shifted away from the 12 to 14 range. We spent about a week and a half in the 15 to 17 range, and now we're extending it beyond that, and we're set up to a move into the carry 20 for a couple of weeks. So we'll carry VIX into the 20s for a couple of weeks. We'll see some red, which will be nice in line with my theory to hold the May puts, and off we go. That'll be there. So keep an eye on the VIX. Bonds will continue to take a lot of volatility. The further they drop, they're about to put another low in. And then, of course, watch the plunge protection team of the mega caps. Other than that, everything's played out today pretty much how I anticipated. I hope y'all make notes of that. There's a rhyme and the reason why I make those comments. I'm very, very careful to kind of steer y'all away from a particular strategy, especially when it's upside. But this morning I saw a little bit too much euphoria on the bull side, and it played out pretty much exactly how I thought. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know. Shoot me a DM, post them in the channel. If you're on YouTube and you have any questions, come hang out with us in the Discord. It's a great place to be. So I appreciate y'all taking the time to hang out with us, ask questions, be involved. Hope you made a little money. And I will see y'all bright and early tomorrow morning. I'm out. See ya!